Welcome to the Grawlix podcast. Aroo. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Oh yeah, this is Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix podcast live show. By the way, I got distracted by playing games. Hey everybody, what's going on? We're back for another exciting installment of this podcast.
Emphasis on the stallment.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I think about it often. Hey, we got lots of things. Melanie and I watched a show, and we just want to know if you have a moment to talk about Jesus. And then we're going to talk about some news. I threw the Jesus comment in our Grawlix chat. Jesse's probably like, what? What's this about Jesus? What happened in the week since we last talked?
Right. Jesus, he knows me, and he knows I'm right.
They got to you. But first, how are you two doing?
I'm alright.
Yeah.
Good.
Well as can be expected. Week 2.
Oh, yeah, school's back.
Yeah, school's back. In a heat wave. It's ridiculous. It's awful. And I have to do bus duty, so I've got to be like, all right, kids, go ahead and get on that bus. I'm sure it's not hot in there.
Oh.
Yeah, do it. Say
One
it.
of my bus driver friends left a thermometer on the bus. And this was early this week. Like Monday, I think. It was 130
I
in
believe
the bus.
it. Oh, that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hot in there on a normal day, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's a real feel of like 115. So it had to be worse inside of a bus.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, so I guess this will be our, like, what have we been watching segment, because Melanie and I have just kind of been watching, like, Trigun and stuff. We mentioned that last week. We've been slowly working through some Trigun. It's not a whole ton of it. But we did watch something comic book related for once. There's a Netflix show. I don't know. I just seen it, and I was like, what's that? And I looked it up, and I was like, oh, okay, let's check that out. The Chosen One. It's a 6-part series. I feel like it'll be this will be it. I feel like this will be a 1-season thing. And I feel like they suspected as much going into it. But it is based on a comic book. I think I read that originally the comic was called The Chosen or something. But it's better known as, because it was released in graphic novel form or in volumes, as American Jesus by Mark Millar. And, I lost it. I had it just a moment ago. And Peter Gross? And it is about a boy who discovers he has Christ-like abilities. Mm-hmm. And it was billed as a horror. I guess the movie db.org bills it as a drama, sci-fi, fantasy. But I seen it was billed as a horror, and I was like, okay, cool. I'll check that out.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's very horror-y, though.
No, but, like, it had lots of sequences where it had, like, horror-style sequences where it's just, like, general creepiness.
Yeah.
Sometimes it didn't feel warranted, to be honest, but...
How do you genre something like that? You know? Be like, well, it's about God. So, fantasy.
Right.
Like you can't genre this. You can't genre this without offending someone. It was like, it's science fiction.
Yeah, science fiction. It could be science.
I would say it's like if The Sandlot met the crappier Exorcist movie, where a lot of it took place in the desert, and you mix those two together, that's what you get here.
With a little bit of preacher sprinkled in there, only he's not a preacher.
Right.
It did, and that's kind of what I was expecting a little bit, is kind of a preacher vibe, and it doesn't have a preacher vibe, but it is that kind of thing, where it's like a comic book. I mean, if you watch the show, you wouldn't, it doesn't strike you as comic booky, you know?
Right.
But, it's a comic book story about kind of religious thing, and it's not like... Yeah. It's not worried to... I feel like this doesn't make a point to be offensive, but it's not worried. It doesn't seem concerned that much with it. It's just like...
It's definitely not going to be your target audience. You're like...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can pretend that someone else can have the same powers as Christ, that's going to be clearly offensive to someone that believes Christ is the high watermark of deity.
It's
Right.
going to be offensive anyway because there's a mesh of they're in a Mexican community
Mm-hmm.
where there are people who still practice their old faiths with a lot of Catholicism mixed in, so it's already going to offend people just from that, you know.
It is interesting. It's a multilingual show. Most of it's in Spanish, since they're in a kind of a rural Mexico town, but there is English as well. I thought another thing that intrigued me was the fact that it was just like, this is not a new series. Well, I mean, it is a new series, but it's just, hey, Jasper, what's going on? It's a 6-episode miniseries, I guess. And like I said, the way it ends, and I'm not going to give spoilers, but the way it ends is, it very much felt like hinting at other things that are in the source material. Not hinting, they're just like, here's what happens years later, kind of, but it's so quick and rushed that it feels like they're like, yeah, this is probably going to be it, but they could expand if they need to. And apparently this pretty much covers just the first of 3 volumes in the overall story.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, and there were things that happened in it also that lead me to believe, at least, I don't know about Randy, but I think he agreed with me, that there's more going on than it seems like is going on, because there are characters that we weren't really introduced to, but were hinted at, and things that I think, it's not as cut and dry maybe as it seems in the ending.
Yeah, I think you can get by with watching it and take enough away from the story that it doesn't necessarily feel like, you're missing stuff, but clearly there's more to the story that it kind of sets up and addresses or doesn't address. And I think this was apt. I think when I first was looking into it, it was kind of described. Can't think of what they related it to, but it's got like, I wouldn't say a Stranger Things vibe, but a little bit. It's like, it's late 90s is when most of the story takes place, and it's totally a coming of age story, and it's a little bit of a cliche like story, like character arc, but it's also like every coming of age story is cliche, and also like it does kind of follow a little bit the like Jesus story, and that's a story that's been around for a while. So like, it's not breaking new ground, but
yeah, a bit. It's been around,
right. I don't know. I thought it was good. It had an interesting enough atmosphere, and like the kid characters were kind of fun, and then at a certain point you're just like, it feels like everything's going to go bad. When's it going to go bad?
Yeah.
And the finale is pretty epic.
And the kids are adorable. Most of them. Not all of them,
Right.
but most of them.
Right. There are parts, especially with the main character's like arc, I guess, that feel rushed, where he's like, oh, what's going on? I don't know what's going on, to like maybe the same episode. His friends are like, hey, here's a throne we made you. Have a seat in this junkyard throne. And he's like, yeah. He's like, whoa, wow. You latched onto that real fast.
Yeah. And they have, I don't know if it was supposed to be for artistic effect or just like a dreamy, sequency stuff, but some of that was jarring a little bit too, I felt.
Mm-hmm.
But, whatever.
This is an interesting cover for it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the main kids. I was looking at it earlier, and I'm like, okay, well, this guy's like, is kid okay? That's his mom. What's she looking at over here?
I don't know.
Anyway, this is not why you guys tuned in.
Yeah. What about Jesse? What have you been looking at and reading and watching?
Well, since you're kind of going on the But yeah, I hear a siren as well. It must be
Is it the
volunteer fire department time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wasn't. I figured that was probably coming through the mics, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so I've been reading some comics. I literally had some comics come today, so I busted into the very end of the current Daredevil run, and it ends real weird. You know, like it always ends weird, but it's gonna be another one of those things where it's like we hit issue 15, and then boom, we're gonna start over with issue 1 again. You know, and in this, he like literally dies and goes to hell and interacts with like certain demons and whatnot, and at the end, like this last issue was kind of like how everyone is dealing with it. Like, what's Foggy up to? What's this other guy that we are interested in or like introduced to? What's he doing? And he's basically partnered up with Foggy, and they're still fighting the good fight in the courtroom, the way that Matt and Foggy would have. And then Elektra, she took on the mantle of Daredevil when he was supposedly dead the last time. And so she's still doing that. And then we basically are introduced to an amnesiac version of Matt Murdock, who is a priest, but has no knowledge of the fact that he's probably Matt Murdock at all. And then it's implied at the end that, well, of course he's Matt Murdock, and he's still Daredevil, and he'll be born again. They're going to use that one again. And it's like, but we've already used, we've already used Born Again in the comics. So you can't just say Born Again because there's already Born Again. Like, if this, I don't know, it's setting it up for failure in my mind. It's like, well, if this story's any good, then it's going to be really confusing. So, I don't know.
It's real street level crime fighting.
Yeah, but Born Again.
I feel like, didn't the TV show, I mean, not so much like the ethereal, he's actually going to hell and stuff, but didn't that also have basically like, he's dead, but then he's not, but he's, I guess he didn't have amnesia. He was just like hiding out in a church.
He was a priest.
Well, and that was basically the Born Again storyline. That was.
Yeah.
Well, things maybe time works different, like in hell, so he can go back to the before any of that happened and be reborn.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that makes you wonder. Then, are there like essentially two Matt Murdocks coexisting that just don't know about each other? And so when the one guy dies, now the other guy's powers will like re-manifest or something.
Right.
Yeah.
This is real.
Hey, in comic book worlds, if it didn't happen in the last 6 months, it's not canon. You can just do it again. It don't matter.
That's right. Well, and we will, because the new Daredevil show is also called Daredevil Born Again. So
okay.
Like,
is that still happening?
Yeah, as far as I know. Yeah.
I got real worried when there was a bunch of stories about Disney's like Feige, or maybe it was Iger's, like, we oversaturated the market with those Marvel crap, Right. So I was like, that indicates a big pullback on productions.
I thought they were in production, but like I don't know what the writers' strike and the SAG-AFTRA strike will clearly affect it.
We're going to be all AI entertainment from now on, I think.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
What else did I read? I also read some Spider-Man. Spider-Man's kind of in an interesting place because, like Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, she recently died, and she's going to be resurrected in the X-Men because she's a mutant. So they can. That's what they're doing in the X-Men now. Is if they die, they get resurrected, and so that's what they're going to do. Is they're going to resurrect.
How do they do that? Is that somebody's power or something, or they just
the mutant that is Krakoa plays a huge part in it, and Krakoa is essentially like a living island kind of mutant.
Okay.
Yeah. So they basically can create like these pods that they just create. I don't know that you're actually you're like a clone of yourself. It's just like. Yeah, like pod people, clones. And there's this whole thing about it. It's like, well, what version of them are they restoring? Like, what? What are we getting here? Yeah, Xavier's gotten real weird. So, He's always been
Yeah.
a little weird, but he's gotten real weird.
Yeah.
Daredevil,
Hanging out.
Wet Blanket Rebirth.
Yes, there
Callback.
it is. Yeah, yeah. This is gonna tear a page out of DC's books and just be like, "Wet Blanket Rebirth. Let's do it."
Yep.
Anything else, Jesse?
Well,
Anything
speaking
else
of
you
Wet Blanket Rebirth, I did watch something. I watched This Is Gwar.
did? Right.
Ah,
Yeah,
For Blanket Rebirth. Okay.
yeah. So you could
That could be
crawl
Gwar.
through a not quite animatronic, but like a puppet based world-eating maggot.
yeah.
If you
that's
trained
kinda like
AI,
what-
speaking of
what-
AI, if you trained AI on Gwar, like song titles and
Oh,
lyrics,
man.
eventually you'd get Wet Blanket Rebirth.
That's probably what would happen. That's probably what would happen. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say about it other than like it tells the story of Gwar in a compelling way. It's interesting just how much Weird Al Yankovic was involved in this documentary. Like he
Really?
chimed in on it several times, and I was just like, "Wow, huh, that's weird," you know. But like, I guess he did a few things with Gwar. Like he did like a video with Gwar involved, and it might have been for his Saturday morning show that he had, the Weird Al Yankovic show that they did something with Gwar. But he did talk about one time where he had to follow them up. Like there had been a Gwar show the night before, and they were like, "Yeah, but we're still getting things ready. We're still kind of cleaning up because Gwar was here last night." Kind of thing. So that's funny.
They leave a lot of the spuge all over the place.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. They call it the spew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to a concert. I can't remember which one it was, but they were supposed to have hockey the next day, and so they just had like this. I don't know what kind of flooring it was, but we destroyed it. Everybody there just kicked the crap out of it, and we're slipping around on the ice, and there was chunks flying. I was like, yeah, no, this isn't. They're gonna have to redo this whole thing.
Oh yeah.
But, yeah.
Oh man. Have either of you ever been to a Gwar show either?
No.
It's you get sprayed. You're going to get sprayed.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
I got sprayed at a Rammstein concert. That was pretty gross.
Sorry, siren's going off again.
It's the end of the world.
You know, if you gotta.
What sprayed you at a Rammstein concert, Melanie?
A plastic male appendage.
Yeah, I thought so.
Oh, so they were basically doing the Gwar thing.
I don't know if that's what Gore does. Then yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not technically in a male appendage. It's a cuttlefish.
Oh, okay.
That's how they got away with it. That's how they got away with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing concert videos of Rammstein back in the day, and yeah, they. I mean, different, obviously a different look, but similar stage theatrics in a way.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into some news because I had one that kind of segued, but honestly, I don't really want to dive too far into this. That's right. Jasper says I'm
That's
too
right.
hot. They keep calling the fire department.
You gotta turn down the sultry over there.
Yeah.
The smolder.
Turn down the sultry.
Turn that smolder down to a simmer.
So basically, the American Motion Picture toilet paper. I don't remember. I don't remember what the whole acronym stands for, but had an offer for the Writers Guild. The strike's still happening, by the way. It's surpassed one in 2007, 2008. ASMR, Randy, too much.
Oh God.
I don't like it. I hate it. I
know.
I don't understand it, man. And a little part, I know I've talked about this on the show. A little part of me, a part of it is, other than it's gross and weird, and the vibe is always super weird. The audio producer in me is like, those spittles should not be there. That sounds horrible. What are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
Why are you doing that to your mic?
Isotope
No.
RX mouth declick. Look into it. That's like half the appeal, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know how that's supposed to put you to sleep either. Like, I thought that was the original idea, was that it's soothing and people will sleep to it.
Well, and I think, yeah, I don't get it either. I think it's the idea of like gentle, like rubbing on your head, maybe, but hearing somebody like with their nails go click, 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 or like just making mouth sounds
Yeah.
and whispering at you all creepy like that doesn't. I don't want to sleep during that.
No, I need a fake head or a fake hand to rub my head, and that would make me fall asleep.
Robotic.
Yeah. A robot hand.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. They offered the Writers Guild something, a deal. They're like, hey, how about this? They made some concessions, and the Writers Guild rejected it. They're like, it's not good enough. And I was reading a little bit. I didn't really understand it. I was reading a little bit about like the AI situation. Like they had some weird stipulations. They're like, well, AI can't be considered literary contributions or some weird thing. NPC streams.
Oh, man.
I-
Do you want to know?
Sure.
Oh, goodness. All right. So, like, these usually chicks, but not always chicks, right, are on a stream, and they're usually in some kind of character. They're usually in some kind of cosplay, right? And then they just kind of sit there like a character would when it's, like, kind of in action mode where it's just, like waiting kind of thing. Kind of like Final Fantasy V, where your party's there and they're just like, I'm here, but I'm not doing anything yet. And then they wait until you like send them a gift or whatever, because you can send digital gifts like an emoticon or a reaction where it'll be like, oh, you just gifted me a ice cream cone, and then they just react to it. They're like, ice cream, yum, and then they go back to this.
Go back to idle.
Yeah, they go back to idle, and then they'll be like, someone will send them like a spicy pepper, and they'll be like, no spicy, and then just go back.
They have the preset things that they say.
Yeah.
That sucks.
It's dumb.
That
Yeah, it is.
sucks.
So I'm with Jasper on that. I don't get it, and they're everywhere now. Like that's
Really?
the new thing. Like that's kind of replaced ASMR streams.
Are they
So.
naked?
Are they what?
Naked?
Can you get? Are you away from the
Are they
mic? or-
naked like?
No, nope.
Yeah, I don't get it then.
I don't.
I mean,
yeah,
I don't really get it either way, but at least I would kind of understand.
And then like the heart emotions will come up, and they'll be like, and then they'll like just go back to idle mode. It's crazy.
It's interesting as like a concept. Once that one person does.
Right.
But
well,
then,
and
like, of
I've
course,
seen one
it's-
where I'm like, oh, yeah, that's pretty good, But then I see a dozen copycats of it, and
Yeah.
those are not good. Like maybe one person can pull it off and had this interesting idea, but then it becomes not interesting and just awful.
But it's still better than like 14 of those with like eight versions of people reacting to that. Still better than that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Why don't you just program an NPC just to do it? Fully on man streams.
Right. But that wouldn't be the allure, man. It's got to be a person pretending like it's an
Right.
AI. See, that's it. Now it's just counterculture. If you pretend that you're not real.
You know what I would pay to watch? If somebody like programmed NPCs from a game to go and have like a whole life story, I would sit and watch that. You know what I mean? Like drama between
Yeah.
the baker and some,
Like a real life, like The Sims.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
don't know how it's going to go. We have no idea who's controlling it.
right. Yeah, something like that I would watch, especially if it was characters that I'm used to because I've played the game so many times. You know what I mean? That'd be fun. But
Yeah, when I was like super deep into Skyrim stuff, where I would just basically play the game as an NPC and set up shops and have a market stall and stuff. I'm not the whatever, the Dragonborn. I'm just a person and trying to make my way. Anyway,
You used to
get-
be until you caught an arrow to the knee.
That's right. You'd get glimpses of like interactions that like you're not expecting, that you're like, oh, and it's like creates a spark of like, what if this was that game? I mean, it's not. It's Skyrim. It's pretty limited, really. But Like just like they can fake it to a point that really gets your imagination going. Yeah. Paralives looks interesting. That's like I don't know that it's going to be anything like that, but that's like an upcoming Sims competitor really. And I don't know, they promise every sim has their own life. When they go off and do other things, they're doing other things. You know, they're not like I like in the Sims, I'm pretty sure if they're like unloaded, they're just gone. And I'm assuming, I mean if they're actually, I mean, I don't know. If Paralives, it's interesting if they're actually calculating at least like what they would be doing, and then when you show up and they load in, they're like in the middle of whatever. I don't know. That'd be cool.
That'd be hard. That'd take up a lot of like memory or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of part of the problem with like the Sims, especially if you got a bunch of like mods going that like kind of are calculating various things in the background all the time. It gets bogged down, and that's where you'll get to the point where like everybody's just like holding for like 3 seconds, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, okay," and then do this. It's because it's like calculating all this other crap in the background. Yeah. So I don't know how you get around that. You would think that wouldn't be so bad if, because it's not like, I don't know, it's just calculating variables, and that's like what computers do, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess if the world's big enough, like, computer's limited.
Mm-hmm.
Hey! I don't have a good segue. Dune, Part 2.
Oh.
Pushed back.
Oh.
Pushed back.
Oh, yeah, I suppose it would be. They better get on that because Christopher Walken's not getting any younger, and he's in it.
I feel like it's probably done.
Oh yeah.
But because of the strikes, the Actors and Writers Guild strikes, they want to wait till that's over so that they can get all the actors in full like promotional swing.
Oh yeah.
They don't want to drop it without being able to get the full like promotional machine going.
Yeah.
But even if it's not done, I'm pretty sure somewhere someone has an AI version of Walken.
Oh yeah, there's actually a whole TikTok channel that's like an AI deepfake Walken. It's pretty great. Oh, you know what else I did watch? Oh man, I watched Tropic Thunder.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I had never seen it.
Oh, really? You'd never seen it?
Well, not all the way through. Like I'd seen clips of it, and I was like, okay, I get it. You know, and so I never really watched it. But this time I watched the whole thing, and so like one of the things I'm like, how did I never see these scenes? Tom Cruise in that. That's my favorite Tom Cruise role of all time.
Right.
G5 baby.
Yeah, he's like a amped up executive or something, right?
Yeah, he's like a
he's got all
like
this
a
makeup.
Jeff Bezos. I don't know who he's trying to emulate, but he's clearly pulling on somebody he knows. But it's like some kind of movie producer that can do no wrong. Maybe he's trying to do Michael Bay. I don't know what he's trying to do. Something like that, where he's like, I can't do any wrong. All we do is win, you know? And then he does that whole thing where he just dances to like Ludacris at the end of the movie. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I want that to be what Tom Cruise does in real life. This is not even what the movie's about, but this is the thing I remember the most. Where it's just
he's
like,
such a minor... It's such a small part.
Yeah. He basically there 2, maybe 3 times, and all he is just over the top angry or in your face kind of thing, and super white, but like listening to Usher and like club music.
That reminds me, how does the blackface hold up?
I mean, it's they shouldn't have done it, but.
But that's the whole point, right?
Yeah, I don't think
That's
it's any more or less shocking than it probably was back then. You know,
right?
And I think partly the fact that folks actually kind of give it a pass. You know, like they're like, no, he was so all in on it that he kind of gets a pass.
And that's like the joke they make about it in the movie. Yeah. He gets a pass in that universe. Like, yeah. It's interesting. I've seen a little bit of debate about that. Like, people are like, why does he get a pass still? But it's like, I don't know, man.
Right.
Context is kind of important with some things, I guess.
It is very important, but...
but also it's not like it wasn't shocking. That movie's not that old. I mean, edgy humor was still very, very much like much more accepted, I think, at that point. But the shock value was kind of the point of it.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah. And the absurd lengths that these method actors would go to for a role, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I kind of get it now. You know, like people have always kind of hailed it as this surprisingly great movie, and I was just like, well, what's the, you know, do you believe the hype? And I was like, you know what? I thoroughly enjoyed watch. So it was a fun movie to see, even now.
well, it's kind of like it doesn't have Ben Stiller and stuff in it. Like I remember it just looking so goofy, but then you watch it and you're like, I mean, it is goofy.
Oh,
It's
yo,
like,
absolutely.
Okay, it's acceptable.
I don't like Ben Stiller.
No,
No,
Well, I don't think you're supposed to like him in this either. So like he's like,
No, I don't like him in anything.
yeah. I mean, like he usually plays unlikable, but like he really
Yeah.
plays unlikable, and this is like, man. But I don't know. He's also not, like, there's so many like interesting characters to follow that he only gets a certain amount of time.
I know.
so Dune Part 2 got pushed back. No, that was a good aside. I appreciate that. Anytime we get to talk about blackface, it's a good day on the show.
Oh wow, yeah. Nothing topical, political, or timely. Not here.
Nothing. Aroo. Is that the voice? Anyway, so apparently it was originally set to be released November 3rd. It's been pushed back to March 15th, 2024, which was a date previously occupied by a movie I did not know was happening. Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, which I did not know was a thing that was happening. They're doing another Godzilla and King Kong movie. I mean, fine.
From the same universe?
I'm assuming so.
Because
I'm assuming
isn't that
so.
what the last movie was?
No, that last one wasn't it Godzilla versus Kong or something?
Yeah.
This is Godzilla X Kong. It's like It's like when two brands do a crossover, or they collaborate on something. It's the X in the middle.
They're gonna
So
fight
they
something
gotta-
else.
Put Kong's brain in Godzilla and Godzilla's brain into Kong.
That'd be pretty cool.
What?
No, they're
What's-
gonna put aside their differences and fight some other evil thing.
Oh, okay. The team up show. I gotcha.
Yeah.
That last movie had some stupid stuff in it, but you know what? All those movies do. All the monster
yeah.
movies have like just oftentimes it's either boring or just the worst like human characters,
Yeah.
and they put too much time on. I get why they have to, because otherwise, like, what story I guess are you going to craft out of just these monsters roaming around? But it's always terrible in my opinion.
Yeah.
That said, I thought Kong versus Godzilla or whatever it was called was a lot of fun, and
It was better than King of Monsters because
Yes.
there was less
Yes.
of that. You know, like, yes, you have to have a certain amount of humans because they're the ones that can speak.
right.
So they tell the
Right.
story, kind of, yeah. But that's all their job should be, is just to kind of be like, why is Godzilla here? You know?
It's interesting they. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go you, go ahead.
No, you.
I was
Please.
gonna ask if anybody had ever seen the movie Orca.
Orca? I have not.
It's old. It's from like the 70s, but it's about a killer whale, and they kind of do it monster movie style. Except it's amazing, and I cried for the whale, who was murdering everybody. It's just a great movie.
I think I've heard of it actually.
They should do something more like that with these with the monsters.
They should do another Orca because that is kind of timely. Aren't orcas? They're killing all the rich people.
Yeah, good.
Eat the rich people.
Orcas.
I don't know that these were rich people, but they were revenging pretty hard. I'll just say that.
Orca revengeance.
Orca 2, revenging. Hard.
So Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, will now open April 12th, 2024, and as a result, the animated Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim is being moved from April 12th to December 14th. That sounds like that's a bad bump, actually. I didn't know that was a thing either. Anyway, I don't know why I had to finish that article. I will wait through every side tangent
the
we
last
have.
part was like,
Orca, war.
yeah, right. yeah, you powered through that. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. We have absolutely no viewers now, but that's okay. I got through that article.
Even
That's the
Jasper
important
left.
thing.
He's like, oh man, they lost me.
They lost me. They can't
I
keep
wanted
on
to
track.
talk about TikTok streams.
Doctor Who Series 14, Spring 2024? Or not, because apparently that was the BBC walked back on that. Let's jump to new episodes of the BBC's Doctor Who are streaming globally from November. This is from BBC.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're biased
They might be.
when it comes to Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But basically, this is the thing I think I might have mentioned earlier, or maybe that was before the stream. So it says the 14th season. Okay, so they're counting the 60th anniversary specials as the 14th season, as part of the 14th season. Okay, interesting. The 14th season of Doctor Who begins streaming in November as part of the show's 60th anniversary and will be available on Disney Plus globally for fans outside the UK. And probably BBC's deal, whatever, if you're in the UK, obviously. And it says, where can I stream Doctor Who in the US? Viewers outside the UK can watch new episodes on Disney Plus. Previous episodes are available on HBO Max. That's something... Oh, they still call it HBO Max even. Interesting. That's something I was kind of curious about. It's like how all news outlets are referring to Twitter as X, formerly Twitter, or the platform formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, like Prince.
Yep. But yeah, so I wonder if the previous seasons are just going to stay on HBO Max.
It's weird. So are they not, since Disney owns Doctor Who, are they not affected by the writers and actors strikes?
Well, Disney doesn't own it now, but they do have like a partnership going on.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure, they have some financial stake in it.
Well, and Doctor Who being produced in the UK.
Right. Mm-hmm. The writer and actor strike is with the American motion picture and the guild specifically. So yeah, they're not affected over there.
So, but if it's an American company, let's say, that was producing it in the other country, so they could just do it anyway. Why don't they just use all European people for all their stuff until the thing's over?
No, I don't think it, because the BBC and, like I said, I think it's still a BBC. No, it's like BBC. It's technically a Bad Wolf production now, right? Like,
Right.
RTD's company is producing it, and he would definitely be there. His company would be over there.
Yeah.
Disney, has financial ties, and BBC, but like that doesn't impact, like, they're not restricted to the American motion picture. Like, they're not a studio associated with the American motion picture, whatever.
Okay.
And that's how a lot of these companies are going to, like, kind of, I don't know, like, wait this out, is to distribute things from other other countries that they maybe have affiliation
and part of what I was thinking, most American movies don't have Americans acting in them anymore anyway.
Right.
So,
That's true. But if they're in an American movie, chances are they have to be, if it's a big production, they have to be represented by the American Guild, right? If they're in American productions, like Amy Pond, she's in a lot of American stuff now, so she's probably a Guild member. But at the same time, I don't know how that works. She could probably go back to the UK and do whatever she wants, because that's not governed by the American guilds.
People have been kind of speculating wildly that, like, some of these actors who used to be pro wrestlers might go back to pro wrestling during the during the hiatus. But I wonder how much of that they can even do. Like, they may even have their hands tied.
Right,
like,
because
how big of a deal is it if John Cena comes back? Because he comes back pretty regularly.
Has wrestling been impacted? Because they still have writers, right?
they are independent contractors, and
Oh, okay.
the writers that are involved there are specifically tied to WWE, and so they're not unionized in any, like, the world of wrestling is not unionized in any way, shape, or form. So
I bet because in my mind, it's predominantly like it's a TV show. Like they definitely wouldn't get the heights they've gotten to if it was just like touring around doing live event shows. But the live event shows is probably the huge loophole. I mean, obviously it's also a good moneymaker, I'm sure, but the huge loophole is like, no, this is not a TV show. We don't have to follow those. This is a sporting event, or this is a live entertainment event. We also film for TV,
right,
but like American
live
Motion
studio
Picture
audience,
Association
yeah.
or whatever isn't coming after NFL for broadcasting games, so
Right.
probably, my guess. What other Doctor Who stuff? Oh yeah, so they had apparently, I think it might have even been the article I was looking at, or not. Den of Geek reliable. Anyway,
Fairly reliable. Or at least they seem to source stuff that's pretty reliable.
right, and I mean this is easily backed up because I do remember seeing headlines because a bunch of outlets ran with it about apparently originally the BBC statement read 3 hour-long special episodes of Doctor Who will be available from November 2023 with a Christmas special dropping in December, and that's kind of a new thing. That's new information, I think, is that they're going to do a Christmas special. So that's 3 anniversary specials plus a Christmas special,
Oh,
I think.
so will that be the very first Chudigawa then?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. To start on a Christmas special.
I mean, kind of Tenet. They brought Tenet in on a
Yeah,
Christmas
you're
special,
right.
didn't they?
You're right.
Yeah.
I think he was a Christmas special because the killer Christmas tree.
Yeah, yeah.
Wasn't Eccleston Christmas too? With the like mummy or not mummy? The what do you call them?
The
The
plastic.
hollow
The
children.
plastic things. Weren't they like Christmassy things? Or am I wrong?
I mean, it might have been around that season because they were like shopping. I remember they were shopping because
we
it was the mannequins.
Get a Christmas one?
I don't know.
I don't know that we got a specific Christmas one. Eccleston.
Okay.
Like a specifically themed. It's also interesting that they're like going back to Christmas. I'm sure there's
Yeah.
people who are like the war on Christmas is over. Doctor Who's doing a Christmas special again.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yep.
Go woke, get broke.
Oh boy, someone bail us out, please. Who is this stream for?
I don't know. Anyway, and Christmas special dropping in December, and a new season in spring of 2024. And apparently, they walked that back and dropped off the like new season talk.
Oh yeah.
So that was either an accident, or they're like, "Whoa, not yet," or maybe
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like not set.
This Doctor Who stuff takes a while.
Right. We need to stretch this out.
Right.
I thought there weren't supposed to be gaps anymore. Didn't they promise that? They promised. Dang it.
We've been on a pretty healthy gap. Albeit this is a big like changeover this time, more so than other times, but we've been in a pretty big gap right now. Apparently all 4 of Davies' Doctor Who series, it's crazy he only did 4, speaking of gaps, had either a March or April start date, as well as a Christmas Day special.
Oh.
So,
Maybe it's a special holiday for him.
okay. 3-hour
He's
long
the chosen
specials.
one. Just kidding.
Hope fades for Billie Piper's return as the latest casting is announced. And I was like, what? Apparently somebody, who was it? somebody had teased that we're gonna get a cameo from someone from 2005 at some point, and so people were like, oh, 2005 is called me Billy, but it's Rose.
It's gonna be Rose, yeah.
But apparently there's
It'll
like
be Mikey.
It was announced that I don't know
Mickey,
this person.
or Ricky.
Host Davina McCall is going to make an appearance in the Christmas special, and I'm guessing she's an English television presenter and host over there. But she previously had a cameo in 2005 doing the voice of like Davina Bot or something in some episode. So that would probably be the returning cameo. So people are like, oh.
So she's going to be returning as her voice.
No, she's going to be returning as a kind of a version of herself or a parody of herself. Which, I mean, I guess Davina Bot sounds like a parody of herself too, but...
Yeah.
I'm not English, so I don't know. I didn't know her in whatever episode that was. But... what was the last thing? Doctor Who shares brand new look at David Tennant as 14th Doctor. Yeah. We've probably seen those pictures. You've probably seen those pictures.
Oh, yeah.
I think the interesting thing is that he just, again, highlighted that both the Doctor and Donna are not...
different.
Yeah, they're not necessarily the exact same versions of themselves as they were. The Doctor's been 3 different people in the meantime, so he's not necessarily the same version of the Doctor that I was before. I'm not the 10th Doctor now. I'm the 14th.
That's honestly the only thing about this that's really truly interesting to me is like, oh,
right. What are they going to do with that?
Yeah, they've never
RTD's,
done never done that before, and maybe that can be interesting.
And RTD is so good with interesting character stuff, so I am excited for that. Also, interestingly, this little tidbit I found interesting was after the anniversary specials. Fans will find, this is coming from radiotimes.com, by the way. Fans will finally meet, I think is it Cootie Gatwa?
Chudy Gatwa.
Chudy. I gotta get that. Gatwa's anticipated 15th Doctor, who has been described by the actor emotionally vulnerable and lonely, but someone who hides it with humor, which sounds very Ninth Doctor-ish. It sounds a lot of Doctors, actually, but it sounds very Ninth Doctor-y. Mm-hmm. Although I wouldn't classify the Ninth Doctor as emotionally vulnerable, but he definitely seemed to try to mask with humor.
Yeah.
Poorly, you know.
Yeah.
But 13 kind of did too.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, though. I mean, that's a little early insight into 15th Doctor's kind of personality. I don't know that actor. I haven't seen anything he's been in, but other than like. Seen a car commercial or a video game commercial
He's in the Barbie movie, I guess.
Oh, right.
He's a Ken.
That's my news. That's what I got. Where are we at? 48 minutes?
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. You want to know what else is amazing?
Yeah.
That scientists have finally fully sequenced the human genome. The Y chromosome contains lots of repetitive sequences, including a few long palindromes that made it very difficult to read, but advanced techniques like bioinformatic algorithms have managed to map out the last missing pieces. So now that they've got those 30 million missing letters filled in, all 62,460,029 base pairs of the Y chromosome are accounted for, and an entire genome can be read from end to end. So, in doing that, the research has already led to new discoveries, including a symmetry in alternating sequences that form a quilt-like pattern, which they thought was interesting, and surprising variations in size, ranging from 45.2 million to 84.9 million base pairs, which is like double. Some of them are, which is crazy to me. And then there were also some striking structural differences with large sections of DNA flipped in opposite directions. But so now they can study more what these genes actually do. And I think a lot of them are probably going to pertain to fertility, because they're the Y chromosome, and a lot of that has to do with the Y chromosome. So this new gapless reference is bringing hope for new insight into human health and disease treatment and prevention.
Does it say that's got to be useful for any kind of genetic condition?
Yeah.
Like anything that's hereditary, and we're like, oh, we recognize that, and maybe give some insight in how to treat it.
Yeah, and so it's great. I thought that they had already done it, but I guess they had only completed the X chromosome last year, and then this year they finished up with the Y.
Gattaca.
Gattaca, yes.
It's gonna be Gattaca. I had to look it up to make sure that was the right movie. I thought so. Yep. Isn't that the one where they're like
Yeah. Like super people or something?
Yeah, they're like genetically engineering babies, which is,
Right.
lots of
Isn't
movies.
that kind of what Brave New World was too?
Yeah. Except Brave New World didn't have Ethan Hawke and Kill Bill. God, what is her name? Uma Thurman.
Uma Thurman. Kill Bill. Kill Bill.
Kill Bill. Her character. Kill Bill.
The bride.
The
Kill
what?
Bill.
Kill Bill. All right. Hey, Jesse, you got anything you want to leave us with before we bounce out of here?
No, nothing really, other than I've been doing a lot of role-playing based stuff, and if you want to get some good role-playing based stuff, you can go to Humble Bundle, because they always got something. And they just put up, I think 2 new ones. And one of them is classic dungeon crawls, and it looks like old school, maybe like old school dungeon modules or whatever. So,
nice.
Yeah, that could be fun, and you could be playing games. So check out grawlixpodcast.com/humble.
Yeah.
Pick you up some games and help us out.
Spice up your life. Ooh.
That's right. Very
Yeah.
spicy.
RPG games will do that. It'll spice up your life.
No, spicy.
Yeah.
Ice cream.
So we're going to become a NPC stream now.
Yeah.
If we're not
But you could
already.
help us not get... You could help us not fall down that rabbit hole just by getting one of our many sponsors' products.
Yeah. Hey, go to StreamYard. You want to stream to multiple platforms at once? You want to record a podcast, a video podcast? You want to do a webinar? StreamYard.com. Get started for free.
Mm-hmm.
What we're using right now.
Yeah.
That's an endorsement.
Have been using.
Yeah, we've been using it for like 2
That's
years
an
at least.
endorsement. That's for real.
Yeah.
Listen, we're not lying this time. This is a good one.
Yeah, we may be trash.
That
with
was
our
all
streaming.
You almost had a pitch perfect script read there, and then I had to go ahead and be like, "No, this is real."
I know you put the appropriate Grawlix spin on it.
Right.
It doesn't matter how good I delivered it. It's gonna ring false unless we Grawlix it up.
Unless we Grawlix it. Yeah, we throw that Grawlix snark on the end there.
Yeah, that's what we're known for. If we don't do that, people are gonna be like, something's wrong with them. They sold out.
That's right. It's like, oh, wait a minute. That felt like what?
Also, that Humble Bundle link is obviously an affiliate link, just so you know.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Just to disclose that, if that wasn't obvious. All right. Hey, everybody. Try to stay cool, man. It is so hot. Take it easy and have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know it's Thursday. I always say have a great weekend, though. It's close enough to Friday.
I resent that it is Thursday. So hard.
Right.
All day. This is one of those days where it's like, this is Friday. Why isn't this right? This should.
Right.
It should be.
Mondays suck, but Thursdays sometimes just can be worse because you're so close, but you
Yeah.
still got a whole day. Yeah,
Oh, no.
I get it.
Why?
A whole day. But it's Friday.
Yeah, I know. It's like every day is a gift, supposedly, because tomorrow's never promised. But Thursdays, they could get bent.
every day's a gift, and you always appreciate a gift, even if you wouldn't mind returning some of them.
There it is. That's the
Thursdays
vibe.
or Thursdays.